Colour Space is a VR colouring book. In one hand, you have a palette, and in the other, a paintbrush. You can swap which hand holds what in the options menu, which is great for left-handed users. To paint something, you simply point and click on something in the world, and a whole section of that object will become that colour you chose. Some objects have more of these sections than others though, which can limit your creativity, such as when you paint a fisherman whose whole body can only be painted one colour. Likewise, some scenes have more actual objects in than others to paint. The first few scenes are pretty basic and don't allow for much detail at all, but the later ones have much more. It feels like the game is easing you into larger projects, although as you can see, it's incredibly simple anyway. The colour palette is also a bit limited. It has two faces. One gives you a selection of different colours, and then the other gives you a gradient wheel. Black and shades of grey don't make an appearance though, which is a bit of a shame, considering buildings and rocks do make an appearance here. Even with their absence, your finished painting can still be very eye-popping, but for colouring in-game, a more in-depth gradient wheel would have been greatly appreciated. Some things in the world react to paint too, by becoming animated. Some things come pretty close to you, and the depth on them is very good, and some things spring into life, which allows you to paint them even more. Not too many of these things occur though, which is a bit of a wasted opportunity. This game will likely appeal more to a much younger audience overall, so more movement in the scenes could have entertained them a bit more. There is 13 scenes you can paint. 9 of them are more distinct locations, and the other 4 are more abstract. All of them do give off a sort of Borderlands vibe because of the art style, and one location in particular is very reminiscent of the series.
A game about colouring in? Well, this isn't going to be a long review at all.
It will be as long as it needs to be.
Shall I read out the colours that you can use to take up some more time?
No.
Blue, yellow, green, light green, very dark green.
When you paint something, a small paint splatter is seen, which is a nice little extra detail. The sound effect that accompanies this also blends nicely with the relaxing music. It is quite rightly a very peaceful game. Sound ambience also makes an appearance. It feels like you're underwater in one scene, and in another, you hear the traffic from a city which is below you. Both help to make these locations feel slightly more alive. You can also change the colour of the sky. It can change the mood of the location you're in quite a bit, as it is the largest thing you can colour in.
Oh, this is terrible. How are we going to fill up more time to make this video hit the 10-minute mark? We're going to get less ad revenue now.
You do know that we don't get ad revenue on this channel, Mr Oculus.
We don't get paid for this. Then what's the point?
Mr Oculus! Mr Oculus! Come back! Honestly, what you see with this one is what you get. Everything simply works, and it's a polished little experience overall. The colour palette limitations, along with some objects not having a lot of detail to work with, do let the game down slightly though, and some more scenes to paint would have been appreciated. Although this is one of the cheaper games on the Quest store. This will mainly appeal to a younger audience, but I think it also could be used for showing VR to an elderly audience too, as it's not intense at all, and motion sickness would not be a factor. Overall, it's a pleasant little outing, and it does feel quite satisfying knowing that you went from this to this at the end of a painting. Mr Oculus, you haven't actually left, have you? I'm not going to start paying you to stand on stage if that's what you're hoping.
Mr Oculus.